Okay, in this video we're checking out the Supra 9 from Aurora RC. This is another one of these toothpick type of models. 3mm bottom plate here. Looks like a standard X configuration. 100mm motor to motor. The frame itself is pretty standard. It's fairly stiff. It's probably going to hold up pretty well on a crash. It's not that heavy. Got your standard whip mounting here, so you have your 12 amp 4-in-1 ESC plus flight controller, and also the half video transmitter board. Now these electronics here are Aurora RC branded. They're not a GEP RC or Beta FPV. They are also available as a spare part if you need to get those for repairs, but I think these are pretty much the same as the GEP RC Beta FPV boards with the plugs here. And the motors are the Aurora RC 1103 11,000 kV. I already did a review video on those where we upgraded the motors on the Carrera. This set appears a little bit different. Comes with the 4-bladed Gemfan 2036 props instead of the 2-bladed 65mm prop. So I actually flew this on 3S, and actually this battery tray underneath, also 3D printed, and a 3D printed pod here, fits this 3S battery. This is the standard one. This actually comes in from a variety of different companies. 300 milliamp hour 3S high volt, and there's a UV version, GNB version, also one from Happy Model. I think they're all made at the same location factory, but this is the one I used here, and it fits inside this tray no problem. And I ran it on 3S with this prop. I imagine with this KV you could probably put a 2S battery in here and switch the prop out for a 65mm prop. I didn't test that because it didn't come with that prop. Also, this comes with an older version of Betaflight, like 353 I believe, and its own tune, so it's not a perfect tune by any means, but I flew it exactly the way it came. Another thing you should be aware of is the way the receiver is mounted here on this TPU pod in the back on the shelf where the VTX antenna comes out. You can kind of see where the props might get in the way here if you upgrade the props to a 65mm. So be aware that that actually might hit this little side piece here that's holding the receiver, so it may not actually work out unless you switch the pod out. Now this one did come with an XM Plus receiver. It does come in a no receiver version. Also comes in FlySky and Spectrum as well, so you can get the version that you're looking for. This does come with a Caddx EOS 2 camera like a lot of the other toothpicks out there. And again, half-size video transmitter board up to 200 milliwatts, power switchable. I think it's also very similar to the one that comes from Happy Model, but and you're probably not going to be able to see here, there's no plugs on the video transmitter like there is on the Happy Model version. Their wires are directly soldered, so maybe a little bit of weight savings there, not a whole lot. The pod on here is fairly, it's attached pretty good on all four corners, so there's no vibration or jello in the video, at least as far as I can tell. Other than that, not a whole lot more to say about this one. I'll just give you the weight. There's going to be a roundup. I know everyone's been asking me for a roundup. There's a ton of these. It's going to get through all of them first, and then do a sort of roundup on comparing all of these because there's so many of them now. But they're pretty similar in terms of performance. This one's coming at 53 grams. I think all the 3D printed parts here does make the thing a bit heavier, and then throw on the 3S LiPo, and we're coming in at 77.75 grams. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit on the heavier side for those that are sticklers to the toothpick category of this size. Here should be around 72 grams, I believe, so it's a little bit on the heavier side. I think possibly taking this piece off here will save a lot of weight if you use a rubber band instead of this 3D printed part. Anyway, not a whole lot more to say about this. It just performed pretty similarly to a lot of the other toothpick drones that I've reviewed before. We'll have a roundup comparing all of them at some point pretty soon, as I have a few more that are coming. But yeah, in terms of like just generally, I think it's pretty close. Now the tune on here is different from a lot of the others because it's using an older version of Betaflight, but they did look like they did try and tune it from the factory, so it flies okay. Obviously I would prefer a better tune, but you know, it's also very subjective as well. Anyway guys, here's flight footage for you guys, and stay tuned for more videos on all of these ready to go, or actually bind and fly or plug and play Toothpick drones. I'll have some more of these coming and a roundup video pretty soon, so stay tuned for those.